So,
Right.
All right. Just gonna go live on Instagram. All right, we're all set up. Hey everyone. Welcome to another very exciting episode of Romance and Finance. My name is Tiana Moody. I am your host, and I have my co-hosts with me. I have Tawana Singleton, I have Rashidi, I have Kayleen, and we have a special guest tonight. Again, we have Chris Crespo. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
What's up? What's going on? How y'all feeling? How you feeling?
Hey, hey, hey.
Right. And tonight we are going to dive into our topic tonight is why is two better than one? So let's break it down.
all right.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, guys. I mean, I guess we could dive a little more deeper into, what the topic is about. Why two heads are better than one. In relationships, for some reason we don't collaborate as much as we should. One person is working one place, another person is working another place, and a lot of couples are not doing or not collaborating in general, not actually going into business together. And it should be a normal thing now. They say a person's net worth or a couple's net worth actually increases by 77% when they actually do business together. And that's a real number. But why isn't a lot of people doing business together? We just simply not doing it, but we should. And that's the reason why we're here today, to talk about us doing business together as couples, because once again, this is romance and finance. So let's dive in, guys. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
You're on mute, T.
one of the. Go ahead, T.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, right?
Yeah, no. So I was gonna say is just pooling resources together. One of the major things is this is romance and finances, but let's talk about the finances and pooling resources together, meaning that two heads are better than one, two incomes are better than one. Working together as a unit to be able to afford to live and take care of bills together is a serious thing. A lot of times we date people and we don't talk about the finance, even though finance is a big part. It kind of gets left on the wayside. Why? Because as the fellas, we go on a date, we go on dates or we're dating someone, and on our side, we're like, is she after our money? Or trying to figure out, is she loyal and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? And on the other side, as women, I know y'all probably looking men for, is he going to be a good provider? And so that kind of is in the back of our minds, but a lot of times we don't have the real conversations of what we think and how can we put our money together. Meaning that, I'm not going to move in with a woman, within the first 2-3 weeks of meeting her. But, the goal is, especially if you're working towards a relationship and jumping in a relationship, is to put our money together to set a plan at minimum. Meaning that if you're dating someone and you officially go into the boyfriend-girlfriend category, and I get it if you're not living together, but if you're working towards living together, you got to set financial goals. Something as simple as saying, hey, all right, we've been together for 7-8 months now. It makes sense for us financially to move in, because if she's paying $1,500 for rent and I'm paying $1,500 for rent, why would we do that to each other? At the end of the day, all of us coming together as a unit, it'll be way more affordable. The costs get cut in half or at least 3/4 of the costs, which is a big difference. I'm a big advocate for, even, getting a home together. Again, that's a big thing, or a condo together. You both live in an apartment, you both get a condo get together, and, you stay together a year, or even if it doesn't even work out, if you guys have an agreement, which is another thing where, you want to touch on a little bit of contracts, but, you both get a condo together. You now you're paying $1,800, $1,900 for a 2-bedroom condo. It's real nice. The cost of living is only about $1,000 each, so you both are living nice and comfortably. And if you guys make it forever, that condo is a big asset. And even if you break up, after a year and a half, you each still walk away with, depending on the situation, of course, but you each still walk away with like 6, 7, 10, 15 grand, depending on where the market is. And that's a great thing where, at least, even if the relationship didn't work out from a romantic side, at least you guys walk away financially sound. Because listen, I don't know about y'all though, but I don't want to break up with somebody and just walk away with nothing in my pocket or a loss. Listen, for me, from a male perspective, I love my woman, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? All those dates, all those expensive dinners, all of that, all them gifts, and then walk away in a negative for what? You know what I mean? It would be a nice feeling to walk away like, yeah, we did all that, and that was beautiful. We had shared beautiful memories, and we walked away with money. You can't lose. You know, that's just kind of my take on it. You know.
Yeah, that's so funny. I'm like, let me find out Rod is the type to take the TV back when you break up.
Nah, listen, I'm not the petty type. I'm not the petty type. You know, I'm a dude, so I can let a lot of stuff go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm just joking. So, so I wanted to talk about you mentioned about shared goals, which is very important. And just having that alignment, being on, you know, one accord. Let's also talk about the balance of strengths and weaknesses when it comes to finances, and how, you know, one partner might be into investments, might know about stocks, whereas though your other partner might not have a clue. They might just be used to working a 9-to-5 and that's all they know. They have no idea how to build a portfolio on real estate. What are some of the advantages of having a partner who can kind of, you know, pick up on or kind of fill in that space for you?
Well, I look at it like this. Most people know how to run a business. They know how to run someone else's business. They just never done it for themselves, right? So for example, a couple, one could be working at a restaurant. Let's say the guy works at a restaurant, right? He's a manager there. So he sees all the books. He sees all the numbers of what the business is actually making, right? So then he's like, yo, damn, I can do this myself. I can do this on my own. But then his girl, she works at, I don't know, she's a nurse, right? She's a CNA, she's making some good money, but she just knows, she's in the medical field, she's doing her thing, but she doesn't know the business side to things because she just thinks she works in medical billing. She doesn't know the ins and outs of certain things. Because the guy, he on a day-to-day basis, he sees the drawers, he sees the actual money coming in and out, he counts out the drawers, he knows that the business side to it, he can now, you know, translate that into his own business. He could actually, and his woman could actually help. Why? Because even though he knows the number side, she could be doing the admin work. Why? Because she knows that perspective of it. So I feel like a lot of people, it's not that they can't do it, they just haven't really taken that step to do it for themselves. And it's actually, it's not, I'm not saying that it's not, I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's super doable, it's super worth it. You know, just take it from this perspective as well. Most women are good at admin work. Most women are good at admin work. Now, with the business, you have the admin side, you have the marketing side. Where the man, he could be marketing. I'm just giving an example. The man, he could be marketing, and the woman could still be doing the admin, or vice versa. Doesn't matter. The point is, you have to cross your T's and dot your I's, and that's what each other's for. You know, and a lot of times, couples can be thriving in that way. I'll give you another example. You know, starting a juice bar business to where you're making smoothies. You know, one person could be actually juicing and making the actual smoothies, and another person could be counting the inventory, can be doing certain things on the actual number side to actually make this business work. There's so many different things when it comes to it, but the important thing is to actually start something. When two people come together, they should figure out what business that they actually want to put together. Here's the reason why. Because about 80% of the relationship has to do with money, believe it or not. So why not try to produce an income together, because you're both going to be benefiting from that income, if that makes sense. And that's the biggest key, is that you're together, you want to make some money together. You're going to definitely spend money, so it's best that you try your best to make the money together.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think
just to continue with that, one of the things, and I actually recently did this with my partner. We spoke about that. We were talking about putting our ideas together, and I find that one of the very big steps that had to be made is, first of all, we have to have that trust with each other. We have to make sure we're on the same mindset and we want the same goals.
Mm-hmm.
Once we figured that part out, what we did, and you know what, it takes you really got to trust your partner for this. We sat down, we went over all our expenses together, you know, and after we went over all our expenses together, we were then able to kind of like make a game plan, you know, whether it is to make a business, whether it is to do real estate, or maybe just get out of debt quicker. You know, we were able to check out each other's expenses, where our money was going, and maybe combine our income, helping each other out. Like, let's say if she has X amount in this credit card debt and we trying to get her out of there, we combine both our income to make sure that, you know, it's twice as fast and vice versa. You know, so I find that, number one, you got to be on the same mindset as your partner, and that you want the same things, and utilize each other's strength, like what Kay was saying.
Yeah, I love that you said that, Chris. And you know, just to let everybody know, Chris is a mortgage loan officer. Talk to me about some of the advantages of a couple coming together, putting their money together when it comes down to buying real estate, and what are the advantages, and what does that do for them when it comes to accessing more funds to get the house that they actually desire?
Yeah, so basically, if you try to do it on your own, and I'm gonna just use a random example, and let's say someone makes $70K for the year, you know, with the purchase price point that's going on today, it's pretty expensive. It's going to be very hard to qualify on your own. But if you include your partner, who's also making, let's say, an additional $30K, you know, now with both incomes combined, we're talking about $100K total. That puts you in a better position to qualify for more. Not only that, if we start to talk about combining income, we can talk about strategies as how to save up for like the down payment with the two incomes, you know, so it'll definitely put you as a couple in a better position to qualify for more.
And you know, it's crazy you say that. It actually had me think about something. Now, you know, because there's a lot of risk factors in business, in relationships. Couples need to actually also have life insurance on each other, because now if you start a business with your significant other, and what if something happens to that significant other, you know, that business still has to thrive. That home still has to be paid for that you guys just purchased. You know, a lot of things still have to go on. You know, that's what the life insurance does. It comes with these living benefits to where if something were to happen to you while you're alive, now that person gets access to that money while they're allowed to help sustain their living, so that the other counterpart doesn't have to struggle and doesn't have to be stressed out, you know, during the time of, you know, in need. You know, so it's a lot of things that can be done when it comes to life insurance, and when it comes to couples, I think, you know, it's a necessity at this point in time, and, you know, in our society.
Yeah. So Kay, are you telling me that you are able to get life insurance on your boyfriend or girlfriend even if you're not married legally?
Absolutely, 100%. Because you're still pretty much living together. I mean, you know, or even if you're not living together, you've been together for X amount of time, and you know your lives are connected, so your lives are affected financially. So absolutely. You know, boyfriend and girlfriend can get policies. It's better if you're like, you know, engaged and married and, you know, these things. It's better. It just looks better. But can it be done? 1,000%. Absolutely. As long as you're together for a certain amount of time, you guys can get a policy.
And you know what? I'm happy you said that too, because that's one of the things I tell my clients, right? Especially if you're going to do one of the biggest investments of your lives as a couple. Aside from getting the asset or the property, you want to protect what you're investing in. So life insurance is definitely like one of them. And I know there are different parts of life insurance. You got term, you got whole life and all that good stuff, you know, but as long as you protect your asset, you know, you covered. as far as that goes.
That's what it's about. It's about income replacement. That's the main thing. It's income replacement. You know, so super important. I feel like, you know, people take it lightly, but it's super important. It happens. It literally happens every day, where these situations, you know, occur to where people need to tap into their life insurance, and they leverage the life insurance to help, you know, them get by day, you know. So it's important to have.
Right. And I don't think people, it's more of the point of education.
Mhm.
Like, how many people knew or know exactly what you just said, that you can take a life insurance policy out on your boyfriend or girlfriend? Most people think you have to be married, you know, so
Right.
it's the lack of education. So it's why we do what we do, right? And promoting and educating people about the importance of life insurance, yes, for a death benefit, but you know, I feel like we as a culture weren't taught that or educated on it. You know, other cultures have, like,
Mhm.
they know about this. They take life insurance policies out on their babies as soon as they get a social security number. So they already setting up for the future. In our culture, don't know that. So I'm glad you said that, Kay, because a lot of people don't know you can take it out on a significant other. You don't have to be married. So that's a
Absolutely.
good point to bring up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's why I wanted to pinpoint that for those who don't know, because sometimes it's like you have to speak to people as if they're 5, literally, just because to make it plain and make it simple so that they understand, and that it's clear. So we want to make sure that we are just helping our community as a whole, right?
Right.
It's important. But one thing that I noticed that we did not bring up is the emotional side of having a partner and having somebody to be there for you when times are hard. You know, when business isn't going good, or the investments are not picking up like you thought it would, or you know, the job you thought you would have for the next 10 years suddenly lets you go. Having that emotional support is very, very important. Somebody that you can share your highs and lows with, right? That sometimes makes all the difference. And knowing that at the end of the day, you have somebody who you can come home to, who has your best interest at heart, who you can share some of the most vulnerable feelings that you might not be able to share with your coworkers or your business partners, is very important, to have that emotional support to keep you motivated, keeping you wanting to push you forward, because we all know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur or to be an employee. You know, all of it is being an adult. Adulting is
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Being an adult, period. Right.
Being an adult, period. So it is nice to have that partner, somebody that you can confide in, and just share that vulnerability with. I think that that's also the benefit of having a two. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, two heads are better than one at the end of the day. I'm glad you brought that up, T, with the emotional support, because the emotional support is, you know, equally as important as the finances, because, you know, they say relationships, it is about, you know, love and money. You know, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You know, it's both heavy portions and components of relationship. So even if the finances is in order, on the emotional side, if you're not supporting your partner through thick and thin, it's not going to work out anyway. Now, you know, going back to Kay's point with the life insurance, and I feel like that guy, like, you sure about that? I don't know if I want somebody having a life insurance policy on me, but nah, let me stop. But no, it's definitely a good thing to have one. And I'll give you a perfect example. You know, this was just something recent. You know, as you guys know, you know, I also do real estate too with the company. So it was somebody in the office that had an unfortunate accident in the city where, you know, they got assaulted. And so they're in the you know, they're in the hospital currently. They're gonna be in the hospital for a while recovering. And due to that, you know, the office sent out a massive email like, hey, go GoFundMe page, all this type of stuff to help out for the medical bills. And help out for the medical bills, as well as to help sustain their living while, you know, while he's in the hospital, and he has, you know, a wife and kids and all that type of stuff. And you know, the crazy part about it is that, you know, us talking on this platform, it's huge, because one, to your point, T, about talking about having the products we have and all that type of stuff and what we service, you know, and it's not about money, but money plays a role. if that individual had a life insurance policy like an IUL, which is an index universal life policy, they could have pulled cash out to survive on. And depending on how severe the injury, they could have pulled, up to like 60-70% of that money out of that policy. So in that same example, if you have a $200,000 policy and you built up $30,000-$40,000 worth of cash value, you could have pulled money out of that to survive on instead of having to do a GoFundMe. You know what I mean? Because I could imagine the stress on the wife at home. And so that's why this is a big topic, because real life situations do happen. And so if you're not saving and budgeting together properly, if you don't have reserves properly, and it takes two to tango, and you guys are not putting that plan together, when these type of things happen, it's catastrophic if you don't have those things in place. So relationships are key. So I think emotions and the finances go hand in hand, because even if in a situation like that, and I don't know their situation, but generally speaking, in a situation or similar circumstances, if the woman is not making as much money, she may be organizing how to save and budget. She may be organizing how to have that life insurance policy. She may be organizing how we spend on this and that. You know what I mean? So it's just really coming together as a unit. And these things we're talking about is big, because, again, relationships is a lot of ups and downs, a lot of roller coaster. You go through thick and thin, but you definitely got to make sure both parties are secure. And we didn't even get into if kids is involved. Like, that's a whole other game.
Right.
Sports, all kind of things that kids cost, all that type of stuff. It's huge. It's important to be on the same page of your partner. And like, we in a microwave society, but the truth is we got to get out of that mindset, because it's like, listen, I'll be damned if I have a partner that can't help me. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like that's bad for business, period.
Right.
And, relationships are a business. You know what I mean? Marriage is a business. It's a business certificate on top of love. Like, it's a legal binding contract. And I think people get out of the part of, because it doesn't look good on paper and people don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation, that money isn't part of us coming together. Because why? It looks funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to talk about, like, okay, like I said, back to I said earlier, like, okay, is he a provider? You don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation, because she doesn't want to look like a gold digger with 8 million gold digger videos out there. You know what I mean? And I get it. It's uncomfortable. And as a dude, you want to make sure she's not a gold digger. And then we also got to face the other reality too, though. It's some dudes out here that don't have any money to have any gold to be dug. So if we're being honest, you know what I mean? But it's just having those conversations, because it's crucial, man. And listen, the way inflation is going right now, and the way everything costs, man, I bought like some eggs the other day. It was like $8 for eggs.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? I wanted some steak and eggs, and it was like $30 for some piece of steak and eggs. It's like,
you know what that means? Stop eating them steak and eggs.
Oh, here we go.
That's what that means.
I like Mr. Vegan.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it cost like $12 for a little can of grapes. You know what I mean?
It's all right. Eat the grapes. Eat the grapes.
All right,
Now,
Mr. Vegan.
you know what's? Oh, I'm not. Go ahead, Tia.
Mr. Life, we have a comment in the chat. Monique wants to know, what's the best life insurance to get?
That's a great question. So the answer is, it depends. Every situation, everybody's situation is different. Now, ideally, I would say an index universal life policy, like what Rashidi was just talking about. However, depending on your situation, a term at the moment may be better. So it all depends. Everybody's scenario is different. But what we can do is we could actually have a conversation about that, specifically tailored to your specific financial needs, and we can figure out what policy is best for you and your family. But ideally, it would be the IUL.
All right, and we have another comment. Denise wants to know, what does building while dating look like? What does that look like when you're dating and you're building?
I think, in my opinion, one of the you have to identify first off what's each other's strengths and weaknesses. Because once you could identify that, now you can truly complement each other. And that's what I meant by crossing the T's and dotting each other's I's. And then also coming up with the strategic game plan, a business plan actually, on what the goals are and how you're going to achieve those goals. So you're not only going to have annual goals, but you're going to have quarterly goals as well. And you need to be meeting those goals. And, you need to actually, they say what gets measured gets improved. So you actually have to really sit down and see what are you actually, what data do you have? What are you measuring the improvement on? And I think you just got to take your time step by step and do it. But that's how you build. Rome wasn't built in a day. Rome was built every day for thousands of days. So you have to take your time and actually, put in the work with that person.
I also think like in a relationship, right? Like Rashidi said, yes, it's a partnership. It's your business partner. Back in days, marriages was for business, right? To gain power, expand family, money, so on and so forth. One thing I think you will know when you're with your partner before getting into the finance part is from that relationship, like even during arguments, you get to see how your partner would be as a business partner. Are they easy to talk to? Are they easy to receive feedback? Are they going to be harsh to you? If not just in a romantic aspect, but you get to see that, and it'll tell you more or less, give you an idea of how it looked like as a business partner. Because if in your romantic side, you're trying to give your partner an advice and they're like so stubborn and they don't want to listen to you, they just go about it their own way. You can only imagine that if you were to get into a business together, how hard that may be, and then on the other side of the coin, if you do give feedback and they're willing to hear you out, they're accountable, they hold you accountable too, and they're not going to be yes in everything. They also will tell you like, hey, you're lacking on this. That's also something to see, because in a business, you don't want someone to just yes you to death. You want them to give you constructive criticism. That all plays into play as far as business and relationship goes.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Look like the fellas on a roll tonight, boy. We emotionally intelligent. We come up with some good topics. I'm waiting to hear what y'all got tonight, ladies.
I love it. I of course agree with everything that you guys are saying. I can say and just from experience how important and vital it is and beneficial it is to be on the same page with your partner, your spouse. Example, not knowing anything about entrepreneurship or trying to start a business or even think about generating additional income, partnering with someone who already had a business established, helped me to get my mind set the same way, right? So, with everything that everybody is saying, I would like to point out, especially if you're dating, you're single, make sure that you're seeking someone who has the same mindset as you, especially if it's in regards to additional income, entrepreneurship, anything that's going to help bring in an additional stream of income, because it's hard for just one person. And with that being said, being with someone who had that mindset helped me to be where I am now. It really does help to be with someone who has the same mindset. And even if you didn't have that mindset, being open to receive and hear to change your mindset to help benefit both of you guys. So, and I thought that was great. It was beneficial for me, for us as a whole at the time. And it just, every day we're evolving. Every day we're supposed to be renewing our mind. Every day we're supposed to be educating ourselves. We shouldn't stay stagnant. Once we've learned something and accomplished it, we should be ready to learn something else, right? And something that's going to help both you and your partner or your spouse, to continue to grow, because each day there is a work for us to do. So it's not just about us. It's about us. It's about each one teach one. Like I see a comment in here. Someone said each one teach one, and continue to grow and educate others and, change the mindset, get out of those cycles that we've been programmed to be in.
Yeah,
I know we got that was a good point, Tawana. I know we got some events coming up, right? You guys want to tap into that real quick?
Yeah, you definitely have some events coming up. We got an event coming up on March 1st, with home ownership across the board, where we're going to be going over, how to become a first-time homeowner If you have a house already, you know how to refinance, use the money in your house, investment, everything that has to do with becoming a homeowner, how to manage and handle your home. And we're gonna have entertainment. Honestly, we're gonna have performers. We're gonna have drinks. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have a great time. Games, giveaways. So that's coming up actually on March 1st. We have another one on March 15th, but the next one is March 1st. It's going to be in Stamford, Connecticut. So anybody on this call, if you're in CT, we better see you there. So that's going to be Stamford.
You just threatened somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I like this car right here. Stephen Ray said $8 for eggs. I've been living in the South for too long. You believe life insurance is necessary, plus having the right person on side is definitely, yeah, no, it's true. Definitely a good point. But yeah, that's definitely what the events coming up. Would say everybody come out. You know, other thing I want to touch on real quick, you know, back with just connecting the finance and the romance side of it, is that it's a lot of single individuals out here in the world. And the truth is, if you're not in a relationship, you still got to work on self and work on self-love and self-worth. So by the time you're ready to get into a relationship, you're ready. Because a lot of times it's hard coming out of previous relationships, previous past. You know, we experience the good and the bad, and we don't want to carry that into a new situation, a new dating situation. So definitely one big thing I like to bring up is that we got to prepare ourselves emotionally and mentally and physically before we start dating. And from a financial standpoint, you want to start to work to get your stuff together too. Because at the end of the day, you know, if you're living by yourself or if you're a single individual, you got to find ways to pull together, because two is better than one. Doesn't mean you have to just be in a relationship. That means that it's just extremely hard these days to financially afford to live by yourself or don't have some type of support system. Mm-hmm. So I definitely say that, hey, if you are single, you need some type of support system, whether that's a family member, a friend, should be pulling together the same way like as if you're in a relationship. Meaning that, hey, if you got a brother and sister you're living with for a couple of years and you guys put together to buy a house, or even if it's renting, you should be working together, pool together your resources to be ready. So when it comes time for you to go into a new relationship, you're not depending on somebody else and you bring something to the table equally, and people can't push you over. Let's just be honest. A lot of times you go in relationships vulnerable, meaning that, from I can't speak for a woman's side of it, but from a male perspective, if you don't got it together and you put yourself in a situation where you're dating a woman where you don't have a place to stay or you don't have any money to put down on a place to stay, and you move into, a woman's house, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable situation, and even on the male side. And it's true. Listen, it's real out here. I've heard some experiences out there, There's been scenarios where, seen somebody clothes and garbage bags on the outside. That ain't a good feeling from a male perspective. You know what I mean? That ain't a good feeling. So that's why it's both sides. It's not just women, it's men and women. Like, we got to get our stuff together before we start jumping in, head into relationships. And it's okay if you're a work in progress, but we definitely got to still keep those things in mind. So that was my little piece I wanted to, throw in on it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Rod. And I think that it's important, especially for our younger ladies, to know that, you can't pour into someone if you haven't poured into yourself first. I think that a lot of young women, we do that when we're younger and we're dating. They tend to, pour into the man so much and kind of tend to forget about themselves. So it's important that you keep in mind that you matter, and that you also have to be whole in order to go back and help somebody else too. But your cup has to be filled up in order to pour back into the next person's cup. So I think that that's important. So I agree with what you're saying, Ra. Self-love is the best love, right? And we can only help others if we first help ourselves.
Okay. I will add on and go ahead and pour into me. Fill my cup up. Now, Joe.
I do have a comment, if I could read it. It's actually
you're good.
This is from Ray, so shout out to Ray. He said, when it comes to the dynamics of one's partner earning all the income and the other partner being a non-earning partner, does the non-earning partner need to get permission to spend money from the account?
I wouldn't necessarily say get permission, but out of common courtesy, you guys should be in agreement of what's coming in and out, whether you are putting money in that account or not.
Right.
If you guys have a shared account, it should be an agreement like, hey, I need this. I think people don't understand, and it kind of goes back to like submission. Like people look at it as bad when you're consulting with your partner on making certain decisions,
Yes.
right? Especially when it comes to finances. It's not that the person is controlling you and you got to ask for permission. It's just out of common courtesy for the relationship. It's out of respect for one another to ask and, agree like this is what I want to do. And, where do we stand in this in our account? What do we have going on? Especially if that person that's not bringing money in, I'm guessing that the person who is putting money in that account is probably the one that's handling all the finances and the bills and stuff. I'm guessing.
I would assume so.
Yeah, I feel like it's nothing wrong with that, asking permission, because like we said, it's all about your goals and what you guys have planned to do with the money. And just like how you said, Chris, how you and your partner sat down and actually budgeted your money out. This is in a case where we see it all the time with our clients. We sit down and we separate their needs versus their wants. Now, if you've taken care of all of your needs, and now this is in the area of want, and it goes over our budgeted amount for things that we want for the month, then yes, you need to ask for permission because we didn't plan this out. You know what I mean? So it's all about I don't think it's anything wrong with that. And I think people look at it as, as submission as to being bad, but it's nothing wrong with that. Being submissive to your partner and being on one accord, like we just talked about, someone that we know what's going on with our finances. I think that's very mature and it's very responsible.
Yes, it's all about communication, like you said. I think the person who's asking naturally feels less than because they're not bringing in any income to the household. So that person naturally feels like they're not doing enough. And at the moment they're not, but it's okay because you're going to fall. It's not going to always be where both people are bringing in income. That's the reality of the situation. But I believe it's more of a notification versus permission from the conversation. Hey, listen, I'm going to use this amount for this. I'm just letting you know because whatever it is, because me asking is almost as if like a kid asking a parent for something versus me notifying you, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing just to let you know. I know we took care of this, it's more about in general, the communication, and everybody's household is different. Mm-hmm. If it works for you to ask, cool, no problem. In general, though, it's about notifying your partner on what's happening. The best thing that you can do is just and I think that's the thing too. You must over communicate with your partner too.
Right. What about this? Instead of asking, saying something, in the sense of, this is what I need to do. What do you think about this? Or how would this make you feel if I made this choice? Or, it's, you know what I mean? So you don't feel like you're asking, but you're actually communicating. You're including your partner on the decision before it's actually made, right? And so you're not necessarily asking like a kid, but you're saying, hey, how does this make you feel? So you're consulting with your partner.
I think there's such a negative connotation with the word asking permission.
Right.
Just like there's a negative connotation with being submissive. There's a lot of people that would say, oh, submissive equals weak. That doesn't make you weak. Being submissive is not weakness. It's understanding the dynamics of, who's going to be leading. Just because you're being submissive doesn't mean you're weak. Just like asking permission doesn't mean that you're like a little kid. In my opinion, it doesn't mean that you're a little kid. It just means that you acknowledge, for example, in this scenario that he gave, if one person is making all the earnings and the other one is not, then I think it is fair that person does ask permission if they can utilize the money, because you never know if the person who is earning the money was thinking of utilizing to make other investments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just because you're asking permission doesn't mean that, oh, you know, I'm treating you like a little kid. It's a form of communication. Like to Kay's point, as long as there is that communication and it's understandable from both parties that if I ask permission, it doesn't mean that, you know, I'm being treated as a little kid. It's just to communicate, is this money, can we use this money for this, or is this money going to be used for other investment or other priorities or other whatever? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and what I want to say, because I know we run out of time, my last little two cents. I don't even like the word permission to ask, to be quite honest with you guys, from my perspective, on an overall perspective. The truth is, it's really one of those things that goes back to what you said earlier on, Chris, which is trust. The reality of the situation is no one has to ask permission nor ask. It goes back to the point of what Kay was saying, just notifying somebody, because at the end of the day, the real truth is that if we're in sync and if we're on the same page and we know where our bills are and stuff like that, there's no need to ask permission or ask. At the end of the day, it's something like, you know, just letting them know, like, hey, I took X amount of dollars because I bought this. That's it. Conversation done. And the truth is, a lot of times what it is that it's just that trust factor is not there, because to people's earlier point where, you know, it's an uncomfortable conversation. But the truth is, if the trust is there, like, you don't need to ask permission. If you're on the same page, you don't need to ask permission at the end of the day. It's just a matter of, I trust that individual to make sound, conscious, responsible adult decisions. And until that person shows me or your partner that you're not making those decisions and you try to address it and they don't fix it, that's when you have to ask permission, because now we're no longer on the same page, and we have to get back on that same page and work our way to getting back to the point to where we don't have to ask each other permission. Because at the end of the day, different incomes or different times is just different things. You know, I leave myself as a perfect example. There was a point in time, not this time in life, of course, but there was a point in time in my youth where, you know, I dated someone in my youth where she was making more money than me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And, you know, I wasn't asked for permission to use X amount of dollars, but I tell you what, and I ain't feel about it. I didn't feel bad about it at all. And my confidence was sky high. I wasn't one of these dudes out here like, oh, my girl made more money than me, so I feel insecure. No. Why? Because at the end of the day, we were on the same page. We knew what all the bills were. We knew what we all were bringing to the table. And two, back to our earlier point, we were building together. So at the time, although she made more money than me, you know, I helped assist her getting a way higher, better paying job, helped her with her resume, sit down with her, we're interviewing. So she got a $20K increase in her job. So these are things where it just goes back to trust. It just goes back to being on the same page. And it just goes back to just having respect for each other. Because the truth is, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not with the permission and notification. That is for kids. You know what I mean? That is for somebody that's not on the same page in general. Personally, for me, that and just general experience in general.
Yeah, I would say I disagree with you, Ryan, because
okay, that's fine.
When you assume, you make an ass of yourself. You can't just assume what's going on in the account. So I'm
saying letting people know, but if you know, listen, if
letting me know after.
Mortgage, hold on, I'm just saying, listen, if we know rent is $1,700, and right now I got paid $1,500, and right now in the account is $350. If you're not using money for emergencies and all that type of stuff, if you're not using money for emergencies, then what are we doing here? Like it's really just that simple. If we're being honest about it, you know what I mean? Okay, you know, you got something to eat, something light to eat, like $10, $15. Hey, just let you know I use $15 out the account, because let's be honest, everybody's paycheck to paycheck. We know 75% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. So you trying to tell me all you got to say is I spent $15, so I know that I can't spend 40. I got to spend 20? Nah, that we could be on the same page. Let's stop.
Good night, everybody. We will see you guys next Monday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us on all platforms. You can find us on YouTube at Legacy Builders Us, Instagram at Legacy Builders Us, and now TikTok at Legacy Builders Us. It's been a good night, and we will see you all next week. Good night.
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 Good night.